Do do do. Oh no. We got sound? Alright, we do got sound. We got intranet. Let's go for the video. Oh, goodness, it works. Welcome back. This is gonna be the conclusion for my old pocket watch. Little history. My mother bought this for me sometime, I think 1990, between 91 and 92, at the Southern Park Mall, I think, in Ohio, if I remember correctly. I don't remember where from. And I never used it, never got beat up. I kept it in the case it came in. I liked it. Let my dad use it. That's how I got the paint worn off. He used it for quite a time until the battery died. And then it sat for years and years. So, we did put the back on with our little makeshift wrench. So we're going to go ahead and finish this and then get to the next body on the slab. Let's pull this camera out just a little. Can we do that? There, that should work. Slightly better. Okay, so last time when we were looking at this, let's turn that exposure comp down. Last time when we were looking at it, I was trying to determine, I'm not a watchmaker, repairer, jeweler, any of that, and I was trying to determine which screws here would be the ones to remove to get that battery out. And from what I remember, the battery was a 377, 376. We did get some. So let's go ahead and try to do this teardown. The air conditioner is running, so we will have to deal with that noise. Let me see for a moment. I'm going to try and work at an angle to prevent some glare. And what we'll do. I wouldn't necessarily call it ESD safe, but we have a 17 or 18 inch Dell Inspiron lid that we can, wow, you can't even see it, that we can attempt to work from. Put a little mat on there, the ever trusty mat. And let's see, primarily right-handed, so let's attempt to lift up the left side. How's that sound? Should give us, hopefully, enough of an angle to cut some glare, or possibly not. not going to work. Alright, we're going back to blue. Alright, so we do the best we can with what we got. Let's zoom this back in to get the best look we can. Alright, so it looks like I was saying there was 3 screws, the possibility of 3 to take out to remove this battery. Or at least remove this one piece, taking a close look at it. But I think we're going to try and get away with this one and see what happens. Much better, no glare. We got to kill the light, so it's just harder to see. Or can we dim it? We need a flat. So that's tri-wing. Let's go for a flat. As long as nothing springs loose and, you know, a screw goes flying across the room. I don't see this being a problem, but then again, you never see these problems until they arise. It's totally wrong. Alright, so we did retrieve one screw out. We'll throw that someplace to not lose it, right beside our watch. And I think it looks like we can possibly get that battery out. There we go. Okay, I like it. So far, so good. Do we dare test the voltage on that and see how entirely dead that thing really is? Alright, and the wrench, the slight modification that was made, other than the O-ring falling off, we have to pay attention to that. But the wrench does hold the lid now, so the modifications worked. It doesn't spring out. Let's go ahead and rip into this. Get a new battery out. Compared to the old one, it looks to be the same size, different brand, Energizer Duracell. Let's go ahead and thread this in. This is going to be interesting getting this screw back in here, I can tell. We need to get our torque wrench out for this one, about 120 pounds. I'm just guessing. I don't have the manual. Alright, there, it tightened up at just finger tight. Just a little twist, and it did tighten up. Do we have movement? We do. Alright, so it's 1027. Should pull it out, and we can wind it ahead. And there would be 10, 5, 6, 7. We'll put it at 1028. See if we can catch it when it flips over. Probably, undoubtedly not. $10.27. 10.27. Flip to 28. And that should have been it. 20 seconds, give or take, 25. Alright, close enough. It's within the minute. So let's go ahead and work on getting our watch back together. Now, does the O-ring go around this or in? I'm guessing it goes in the case. I'm going to turn our light back on for this. Well, that's really going to be a project, getting that out in that groove where it's looks like it's supposed to set. But we've got time, we've got some patience. I think we might be able to do it, possibly. Or the O-ring might be dead. We might be without until we order one. And then we have to find out what size we need for this thing. That's going to be an adventure in itself. See, that doesn't make sense that it would set there. I think it sets around our case. Back, or whatever. Yeah, the case back. So let's try and put that back on there and tighten this thing up. That is what seems to make sense to me. However, again, not a jeweler, watchmaker. What was that? Clocksmith? Like a locksmith, but a clocksmith? Yeah, that's not me. Okay, so the O-ring did go on the back here. It is caught on the thread, so I'm going to try and put the point of this thing between the threads and the O-ring without really stretching it, and just wind it, press it so it goes down against the case back. What do you think? You be the judge. Is that good? Will that suffice? Will that do the job? It appears to be down the whole way around looking at it. It does roll back up very easily. So And if you just happen to touch it, it will spring off. Alright, so I think that's where it goes. I'm going to attempt to lock a wrench on. Generally when messing with anything threaded that I'm not sure about, I just usually set it on there and don't try to thread it in. I thread it backwards till you feel like that little click, like it basically passing that point where it would want to start threading down. Like just there it did. So let's see if it's going to spin. And spin pretty freely. And that threaded right in. I'm going to say it stops about there. I don't want to smash the O-ring. Three ATM quartz. Dakota. No idea, but we'll call that one done. Alright, the next one. Let's see what we can do with this. Actually, I'm going to go over, this was just a plastic door, a piece of fairly stiff plastic door out of an old computer case. Like the flop where you could put a floppy drive or like a card reader in the front of a computer case. It's just the door out of that, 2 laptop screws. The ends got filed to make them slightly square and spaced the right distance apart for this case. So there's a way to possibly make like a one size case, or one size wrench for a watch case removal. But yeah, it worked in this case. Would it work in every one? Probably not, but that's how I did it without buying a wrench. If I ever get into watchmaking, I would most certainly buy the proper tools to do it versus making some junk. Let's check the voltage on that for fun. Got an idea we might need. So 0.21 hasn't been used for years. Last time the batteries changed, I don't even know. 2009, 2008 maybe, I'm not sure. 0.21 volts, definitely not enough to turn a little watch hand. Alright, let's reset our camera. Alright, multimeter fixed. We'll throw this off to the side. Alright, let's get you out of the way for now. We have a spare battery next time it dies. As long as that is before... I don't know, these don't actually have a date. If they do, I'm not reading it right. Alright. Flathead, go back in your place. Alright, this next one, let's check it out. You know what, we'll go to the big bird's eye temporarily. This thing has a cover on it. I just turn my whole little blue mat. Oh, okay. We were setting on it. Let's see what the paperwork says. Okay, so working one day, then it shut off and won't come back on. So that's what we have to go on. Working one day, and then it shut off and won't come back on. That's what we have. That's our info that we have with our work order attached to the cover for it. We have, let's see, I don't think we'll need the little blue mat for this one. Possibly. We use our trusty mouse pads. Let's not drop everything here. Move you back out of the way. Put the Sony back in the way. Alright, we have a power supply. Actually, that's a bad idea. So, we got our computer. Alright, all-in-one Lenovo. Let's see what this thing is. 520 series something? I don't know, I'm not familiar with these. I never used them. Let's see if we can make sense out of it. Come here, Sony. Do your job. Okay, so what does that say there? We need more zoom? Certainly. Okay, so machine type F0DN, product family, Idea Center all-in-one, what does it say? All-in-one 520 24 ARR. Power supply here. There's some boxes. Literally brought everything in for this one, so I don't think we'll need much, if any, of all of this. Okay, we have a wired mouse, a USB extension to go with that, and the other keyboard. I'm gonna just throw a guess out that it's a keyboard in this box. Here's the other box, the other keyboard. Okay, yes, keyboard. keyboard size box with a keyboard in it. Imagine that. Controversy. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Nothing about keyboards. Believe that. Now I'm at a loss. Alright, so we're going to get wireless mouse, keyboard. We have them both plugged into a USB dongle. We have a USB port right on the front here. Front corner, we'll plug that in. Let's get our power supply plugged in. He said it went off and won't come back on. So plug it in, see what's going on with the power button. You know what? Let's do something else first before we even plug in. Before we start plugging in, fiddling, and breaking something more. Let's go in here. This is our Lenovo end. Let's get this guy back out and see what happens. Just so we have a good connection. We'll pull these, throw them to the side. Take our negative out here, and okay, is that, yeah, you can see that, that makes sense. Alright, so going in, we do get a voltage, but then it cuts out. It's there's definitely a short going on inside this adapter. There's something going on. I don't think it's a smart adapter where it'll kick on, and we shouldn't have voltage. Yeah, we should get some type of steady readout on the multimeter, and it's not me breaking the connection. So, to check things, give me a moment. I have to dig something else out. There it is. We have, well, it's Insignia. Let's see what we got here. The stock Lenovo one is it going to show it, or is it going to not focus for a dang? Sony, I don't believe in you anymore. You've let me down too many times. Lenovo, 90 watts. Insignia, also 90 watts. We have a Lenovo end. Let's plug it in and find out what happens when we test this one. Do we get a similar readout? Is there a short testing it like that, or will we get some type of voltage coming out? So same thing, we'll throw our ground on the outside of this one and let's try touching the pin first. I don't think there's voltage on the pin, center pin for these. I'm not certain though. Okay, so nothing on the center pin. Now we're going to go from the outside to the inside. And we're holding steady at 19.3231. It's bouncing back and forth, but we have a steady voltage coming out of our Insignia aftermarket power supply that is similar. Alright, and when we touch our ground on the outside and go to the same spot inside, and just for fun, let's check the opposite inside point. We do get a voltage, it reads, and then it immediately drops. So there's some type of short going on. Let's take stock Lenovo out of the picture. Throw it over in that junk pile. Oh boy, do we just plug it in and see if it goes whiz bang, fires up? or do we open it up to check for shorts? Like to check for anything obvious, blown, fuse blown possibly, on the motherboard. We can make a little bit more of a video out of it, I suppose, if we open it up. So let's do that. That's definitely what we do here. Because let's say the factory power supply had a problem caused by the computer and that's why it's shorted. We don't want to plug this one in and risk the same thing or further damage sending power to the computer. So this shouldn't be too hard to get into. Let's throw down our ever faithful, trusty mats and see what it takes to get inside the Lenovo Idea Center AIO 52024 ARR. Okay. Taking a look here, we zoomed in, zoomed out. We'll go with this camera, we'll drop that. Alright, immediately I can see we lift the arm up, some press. Okay, so there's a piece underneath here. When you lift your arm up, press in, you should be able to pull that out. After that, set it down, and we should be able to lift the rest out fairly easy. There you go. Get a fairly decent sized Phillips. I'm going to take these 4 screws off. We're out of storage space for screws. No, we're not. They are all the same size. You don't have to worry about mixing them up in this case. Now, what's next, do you think? Should we start prying? Or let's look for more screws just to be safe. Okay. On one side we can see SD slot and a head vent slot. USB port there, nothing along the side. We have a rubber cap here, possibly a screw there. Nothing on that side, and what appears to be nothing along the top except for the pop-up camera. Okay, so what do you say? Where do we go? What do you want to do? Let's look under there. Find out if there's a screw there or what is the story. There we go. And it has was that an arrow? So it's saying spin this way, spin that way. I'm not buying it. We're going to flip up to the bird's eye view. There's 2 tight quarters working there. You see this arrow? Is it double? It's not double-sided. It's definitely saying turn the one way. Well, there's not a lot of bezel around that screen to go prying into. Alright, so we do have something starting to open up right along the bottom here. See if twisting our screw has any effect now, and it does. It's starting to release the whole computer along the bottom. One thing that it looks like is going to happen is when I'm doing this and turning the screw here, the display is going to fall forward. It seems like fall out that way, or possibly, oh, you know, once it all comes out, it hinges the other way. I don't know which way it's going to flip, like that or like that. But it seems like this arm isn't connected to the back plastic. It's starting to lift away. So the arm here has to go through. Let me show you on the Sony. The arm here has to pass through the body. So we're going to take a moment and see that screw? We'll take our foot off. It's finally loose. There we go. Okay, back to, we turn the screw, and this thing is literally starting to fall in half and lift up. Let's go further down this edge. See if it wants to come apart anymore. Boy, I don't like prying on this front screen at all, because it's right, I need something skinny. We'll get, that one catches a lot, whereas the other one that doesn't. Oh yeah, it's on our trusty blue mat. Super hard to work, facing away from yourself. Let's do this towards ourselves. Okay, so there are latches there. When you pry, no damage yet. Don't want any either. So what I'm doing is putting this in. Boy, I want this to make sense. I don't want context missing. Okay. Putting this in, I'm not prying against the plastic, glass, anything in this border. The tool's going down and going outwards to let the screen start lifting out. We're going to hold that there and work our way down this side. Anywhere we can potentially feel a catch. We're going to shift our weight back up though, so gravity isn't pulling the screen right back down into the body. I don't feel any other catches along the side, so I'm going to say we missed one. There's something that's not making sense. We're going to keep this slightly tilted forward, holding the back and ready to catch the screen. You know, holding onto this and ready to catch the screen if it falls. There was one. Let's go for one more. There's one. Alright, so we're slowly working our way along the edge, popping that loose. It is coming out. Slow process. Let's start on the other side, and this is going to be working. You know what? We have some help. We have this arm that we can use in the back to assist us. So, as I'm prying, I'm going to be holding here and trying to push the whole computer that way with the arm through the back. So holding as well as trying to pry, and go running my pry tool down this edge. Alright, we are getting close, and I believe there's probably one more toward the bottom here. Let's find out. Or is it ready to open? We still have one on the other side. I believe the other side, and possibly along the top. So let's keep this pried apart and work on the latches on this side again. There's one. Where is it? Coming right in the corner. Of course it is. Okay, so let's take a peek inside the computer. Right away I see we don't want to get too happy, as we can rip some ribbon cables. Can't quite get to them yet. I suppose we could. Rip my glove. Let's lay this thing. Going for that last one in the corner. I don't like it, not one bit. We're going to stand this up on its end and continue to see if there's anything on this other remaining corner. We're out of view, obviously. It's taller than my camera is high. And let's see if there's anything on the top edge. And there is. There's a few along the top edge. So right now, I don't know if I'm back in view yet. Found one so far, roughly in this area, but on the side you can't see. One along the top edge that popped loose. I'll let that bottom corner out. We're going to try for this other one. I don't know how I can show it. Let's flip it back up and we'll give it a shot. Use caution. There's one in the middle by the camera. Use caution. Do not pry against the screen. Pry away from the screen. Underneath the plastic, the screen has a metal frame on it, so camera plays no part here. That is built into There's one, and do we have one more? Or is it going to let us lift it out? Okay. this poor display out without setting it back in. We're going to separate the two halves and just set them down while holding on to both. Flip your arm down, and we're going to slowly reach in. Let's see here. Okay, without putting it back together, we need to rotate this. At least work way around. Stand it up. So just so you see the orientation, flip it up. It's like this. We're getting ready to open it up. We have the arm back here. There are a few ribbon cables that we need to disconnect. Okay, one little white one here, and then it looks like a bigger one. It does appear to be taped down. Let's get a plastic pry tool. That one won't work. Let's set that back together for the time being. I'm going to, it'll stand up. Perfect. For how long, I do not know. I'm not going to trust it that long. But here we go. Let's open it back up. I'm going to see about getting this tape off of here, holding this ribbon cable in. Remember, use plastic around the motherboard and its components. Plastic, yes, not saying you can't knock components off of a board, but metal's going to do a much quicker job of knocking components off a board than plastic will. Alright, cable out, that's one. Let's try for two. And it is taped down as well. I'm going to pry that tape away from the plastic socket as well. Tapes up. It's taped on both sides. Okay, so we did get that out. Now we're ready to separate our halves. This is what you end up with once you get them separate. You have your back half with the motherboard in, a fairly big piece, and then you have the half that's your leg that goes to the foot, your display, and the screen. You set the screen somewhere safe. Alright, we swapped out on our ripped up glove. We're just going to take a quick look. And is it worth the hassle opening this up? Probably not. Is it probably just a power supply? Yeah, but let's give a quick look and see that there's like no obvious components burnout or missing. What else can we tell about this computer? Is that quite possibly? It looks like M.2 slot. M.2 SSD. It's labeled so right there, M.2 SSD, so fit one across there. Give this a significant speed boost to the owner, if you ever catch it. What does he have in here? That doesn't feel heavy like a hard drive. I'm not saying it's not. Can we just unplug it? No, it's got tape on it. There's our little plastic razor blade. And it does a poor job. Sometimes. They got enough tape on these connections to make sure they don't come unplugged. And let's take a look here. This appears to be our SATA connection. Doesn't look to be screwed in. The placement of their screws, it seems as though there's a 3.5-inch hard drive in this thing. But like I said, that's just going on the placement of the screws. Let's take this hard drive cage out quick and see 3.5-inch. If not, if it's an SSD, then I would say don't upgrade to the M.2. But if it is it's a 3.5-inch. It's too heavy to be. So you got a Seagate 1 terabyte hard drive in there. My friend, get yourself an M.2 SSD. You'd have to look at the manufacturer who makes this thing, Lenovo, at their hardware compatibility list to see, or the QVL list, qualified vendor list, whatever, hardware compatibility, HCL, QVL, to see what they recommend for drives that will fit that socket. It would be a significant speed boost from this 3.5-inch drive. You'd be a much happier computer user. If you don't care about that, then keep the 3.5-inch running. Let's make sure the rest of it runs first, though, before we start saying what you should do and giving an opinion. No, that's what I would do if it was mine. But to each their own. Okay, our hard drive is safely mounted down. We'll continue the look-see. On the motherboard, it doesn't look like anything, at least nothing visible, is shorted. So, right, I guess all is well that ends well. There's a socket here for something, and I don't know what. Optical disk drives. Oh, they don't. Okay, so they don't. Look at this. This is interesting. They don't have an optical disk drive in here, but they just have a blank door. Optical drive door. So let's grab that. On the other side, just a blank door, no spot for a drive. There would be the little mini SATA connector, ribbon cable running across of some sort. Yeah, they ain't got it. This thing is what was this? Ryzen? It is a Ryzen 3, Windows 10. Oh my. Camera out of the way. I don't want to lift that whole system out of there, though. It's just two springs here and here, and gears in the middle that let it drive, and then a latch for like what you have like on cupboards or multimedia centers. Just a little catch that latches in, gear driven, slides along some screws here, and kind of guides on the edge. Two springs, springing it up and down. What a system. Okay. I'm going to say, dare I check the heat sink, but I don't think it comes out without a good fight. We have to remove that whole camera setup, it looks like. How many? They're nuts. They got a Wi-Fi antenna that goes, okay, so one stops here, one Wi-Fi antenna comes up and goes up into the camera. I mean, I understand putting that up to get better reception, possibly. To clean that. Yeah, we can't get that heat sink out without a fight, so I don't see anything burnt out, obvious, so let's move on from there. We have 8 gigs of PC4 2666 laptop RAM. So, there we go. Let's set it back together, plug in our 2 ribbon cables, get a power supply to it, and hit the button to turn it on. If it works, we'll power it down and then go from there, finish reassembly. There we go, breaking stuff. So I remember being here a few moments ago. Get our tape up off of our connectors. We're not going to fight this one-handed. Get out of the way, tape. Stay out of the way. Get yourself out of the way as well. Alright, we'll tape out of the way. Let's stand this up and prepare for liftoff. One. Two. Alright, so we have a slight advantage in not risking a fall. We'll stack up our mats, set this on that. It's still not enough. We need more. It's going backwards, but it really wants to lean forward on the flat spot, so we'll treat it with caution for the time being. This is the one we tested that tests good. This is the Insignia. So let's plug it in. Should be going either way. We'll find our power button here on the side, but without it being together, the power button should still work. Everything's in the back. So, how do we want to do this? Alright, let's check it out. Come back apart you. Alright, so we got to take a further look into this and see what we can find out. Let's make sure we unplug it. We unplug. Yes. I don't think we're solving this one tonight, my friends. But we have got something. What, I don't know yet, but something is not digging power. Whether it be screen or motherboard yet, not to be determined. So that hot, letting the ghost out smell. If you plug it in, I'm pretty sure it's going to get hot somewhere. Okay, do we need the front half with the screen? We've got HDMI out. I say we use that. Still don't think it's going to turn on, to be honest, but we'll take a look. Excuse me. HDMI out. We'll prop this up, plug it in. As we plug in, we're going to take a look. Alright, so we have fan spin. It is on. Our power light's on. Let's see if we can get image out to our external monitor. I may have plugged into the wrong port. I have no display as of yet. But it appears as though our computer's booting, so we may have a problem with our screen. For all intents and purposes, this computer seems like it's booted up. Alright, let's flip over. We have signal going to our KVM, but no signal, so it detected HDMI, but it's possibly the wrong one. Let's try this one. Let's see. No output yet. No buttons to switch output that I'm aware of. Let's go back to the other HDMI port. Oh wait. Ha! So it was just being finicky. We have 1080p comes up. And we have Windows. Please wait. How do I show you this? Let's get the bird cam. We'll pop it down. Our computer is booted right there. We're running from a computer over to that monitor. So let me put the bird cam back up. Alright, so we are booted up. I don't smell the sickly letting the ghost out electrical burning smell that I smell the first time I plugged it in. Let's try hooking the screen back up. We're going to power this down with the mouse and keyboard. USB 3 on the front. Okay. We have a mouse. We do. We have working mouse. Shut down. We're going to hook our screen back up and see if that horrid smell returns. See if we can get it to boot to the screen. I did hit power down and wait for the fan to stop in the center there. Power supply's out, HDMI out, mouse and keyboard dongle out. For sake of simplicity, this is what I throw our mats. Oh wow, okay, so we have too many here. We got too many. To make this easier to manage and not have this leg dragging behind, banging into stuff, ripping components off the motherboard. I'm going to pull these out. There should be 6 of them. 6, 7, somewhere in that neighborhood. And pull this leg off and make the screen easier to manage. And we don't need the leg right now for anything. I want to see what happens when we plug the screen back in. If it's a no boot issue, we're going to need a screen. Let's check the sockets and the actual plugs that plug in to see is there something going on there. Real quick, is they are marked one? Yep, there's only 6 holes per side, so that'll be easy. Very easy. Very, very easy. Okay, got our screen. Let's get our computer. Put this link back together. It's just an electronic smell, but I'm pretty sure that smelled like something that wants to burn. So the sockets aren't burnt, the cables aren't burnt, at least that one isn't. Let's check this one. Yeah, it's not all burnt, melted. Let's see if we can get it to turn on now. Maybe it was taking a minute before. I got spooked. Does this possibly plug in both ways? It is keyed, okay. one. Let's go for two. Stand it up like so. You don't want to latch it. Plug it in. We get an instant bad smell. Before we plug it in, let's pop this back apart a little. I want to see if we can see source of anything, source of the letting the ghost out smell. Don't believe we'll find it. Let's see if this thing powers on. Alright, we do have a power light. And our screen's on. It's just a bad smelling screen. Like, and I don't say that lately. I'm saying that like it smells like something that's burning up, letting the ghost out that magic smoke. We do have a Lenovo window. I got the spinny, so let's see what happens. It's that whenever I had it on, and anybody that's worked on this stuff, you know that smell, that electrical shit. I just burnt that up. I gotta replace it now, or I gotta buy another one. That's what it smells like with this thing powered on. But nothing's burning, nothing's black. The computer's attempting to get to where it needs to get. Don't have a mouse, keyboard, or how do I say? Mouse, keyboard, or leg right now. Leg, foot, feet, foots. Give me the foots. Plug in and see where it goes. It's attempting. It already booted once. We'll let it go for a bit and see if we can do something about it. Alright, we got our Windows spinner, we got our please wait, and we got our smiling group of young people. So problem solved. Power supply, it was. I suppose we could have did this without tearing apart, but you know what? We didn't learn how to tear anything apart if we did it that way. I'm not sure that I had this particular model open before, but you know what? I have now. So let's power it down, reassemble, and we'll do another boot just to make sure that all's well that ends well. We'll shut down. After we can shut down, reassemble this thing, boot it up. If it boots good, we'll order them in a power supply, 90 watt Lenovo brand, hopefully. I hate the aftermarket ones. Some stuff's okay to go aftermarket. Some stuff isn't. If you got an Apple computer, buy their brand. Don't buy the cheap ones. The cheap ones, $30, $19 ones on Amazon, eBay, and all that, they bypass the safety built into them and designed by Apple. It can be pretty rough. Okay, so we actually need to. Boy, that's a toss-up. Seems like it's going to be a nuisance, but you know what? Can't get it back on this way. That's exactly what we're going to do. That's exactly what I didn't want to happen, anything to unplug. But we got it. We got it. No harm, no foul. Unless, of course, we broke something. If we broke something, we're idiots for doing what we did. And pull out the wallet and replace it. Plugged in. Taped down. Plugged in. Taped down. Not like factory, but the tape's there. Another thing, I don't want to press too hard and put too much flex in this screen while attempting to reattach its leg. You have 6 screws holding your leg on. I don't think they need torque down to 120 pounds with your torque wrench. Your torque driver. Torque driver's useless here. What do you know about that? Nothing. Flat Earth Santa don't use torque wrenches, torque drivers. Believe it. Alright, kids, girls, boys, ladies, gentlemen. We put back our foot. Let's check all these. Give it a twist. Do we dare do the dumb thing and click it back together without testing if it boots? Certainly. So let's snap the top end. And we'll start working our way down the sides. Get our screwdriver and attempt to let this back in. So it said screw it that way. What happens if we screw it the other way? Does it snap back together? Certainly it does. Alright. One mission accomplished. Let's go. What do we forget? Forgetting something here. Oh yes. Those guys. Now, to be 100% fair, honest, in this circumstance, it seems as though power supply didn't test right. The other one did test, plug it in, power it on. However, with that one shorting like that, it's not that it didn't put out no power, it had a short. What was causing the short in that power supply? Was it something in the computer is what I wanted to know. Was there something visible that had happened that would attribute the shorted out power supply in this specific case? I didn't know. So we took a look inside. Nothing appeared to be burned up. I did get spooked, but like I said, this monitor just has that burning, electronic burning smell to it when it's powered on. Let's put our trim plates on. Lift this up, set it in, trim plate on. Let's think about it. Other people, HP, Dell, take 2 feet. Lenovo, 1 foot. One Lenovo foot, good to hold it up. It's one Lenovo foot. That's a lie. Apple used 1 foot too. One Lenovo foot work. Alright, that's on. Get my ever trusty, ever faithful black mats and time flies mouse pad. Alright. Give me that power. Power. Who got the power? Plug it in. Now it's keyboard dongle. Let's see if we can get some smiling bright faces again. We're gonna clean that camera off. I don't have to use it, but power. Okay. Our people are indeed back. We've got a mouse. We've got a person's name. Did we get the code? Did he give us the code? Let's try it. Lowercase? How dare you? What are you thinking? Does your people know you're using lowercase passwords like that? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's unthinkable. It's a crime. It's a crime in one state, one shop, and that's it. Camera washed. Boy, this is a matte screen. I don't know if it's touched. We're gonna buff over it real quick with a slightly damp Windexy rag. Oh yes, sir. If you watch this video, owner, BB, if you watch this video after you get your slip back, do yourself a favor, upgrade to an SSD. Let me see here, what do we got here? Can we out? Possible, it can't be out. They're not sticky. Okay, so let's cover those people up. That was quite the boot process, I will tell you that. Okay. So there we go. There we have it. Camera washed. Supported by one Lenovo foot. Thing's ready to stand. It could stand on its own better. SSD M.2. Get one, at least a SATA SSD will help it out. I think all's well. It ends well. We can leave it here. We'll end it here. We accomplished something. We got a watch working. So far from our field, but we got it done. It's getting late. Anyhow, have a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. If you click that link, come on over and you hung out. Thank you, as always. If this is your stuff, fix and doing. any of this. And you're the person who does it, knows how to do it. Give somebody a hand that needs it done. Fix something up old, make it great, make it work again. Instead of always buying new. Keep some of the stuff out of landfills. You know, is it the way to go? Maybe not for everybody. But I'd like to think it'd be a lot cooler if everybody was fixing up older stuff instead of getting new constantly. Anyhow. Alright, guys, that's it. I'm signing off. We gotta end this somehow. Some way. It should do it. We'll wait for it. Have a good one. I can go now, right? I did the video. Look.